Well, hi, good morning and welcome for Global Learning for an Open World, powered by Actionable Innovations Global. This is a presentation, a conference about transdisciplinary PBL to promote student engagement and foster personal flourishing. We are Joaquin Ramirez, Isaac Lopez, and Jonathan Velasquez, and we are talking on behalf of the entire Tecnológico de Monterrey team. Thank you very much.
Next slide.
Thanks also to our partners. Glow 22 has been made possible by 20 years of world saving, MEG, educational collaborations, yes, Global Nomads Group, Empatico, Seafair Education, talking taking IT Global, GEBG, Center for Interactive Learning and Collaboration, Fulbright Teachers Exchange, Siena Solutions Challenge, and My Hero. Please really share your thoughts and reflections with these hashtags, hashtag GlowEDU and hashtag GlobalEd22 on all relevant networks. Hi, Lindsay. Please note that this session is being recorded and all presentations and discussions will be preserved for later asynchronous viewing by participants. Well, as I said before, we are the project that we are working on is Transdisciplinary PBL to promote student engagement and foster personal flourishing. Who we are? We are Prepatec. Prepatec is a network of 34 high schools across Mexico with more than 27,000 students. We have been doing projects and working with PBL in isolated disciplines for some years. But now we have undertaken the challenge of designing and implementing a transdisciplinary PBL aligned to the SDGs, now as a pilot and next year at a national level.
Okay. So the beginning of this story was around June in this year. We gathered a team of teachers in the city of Monterrey and Nuevo León in the northern part of Mexico. And our goal was to design a transdisciplinary PBL or project-based learning. We had the help of Jennifer D. Klein, who is a very important and renowned international coach for different schools. She has been working with Colombian schools, also in Mexico, in the United States. So she helped us to design a project that had a length of a semester. And the goal was to design a transdisciplinary project. That is, that we gather at least 5 different subject areas. So the design of our project included integrative challenge, a challenge and a purpose. Also, we wrote the summary of the project so people can understand what was the goal. Also, we had specific approaches from each discipline. So we wrote driving questions for each one of the 5 different subject areas. A very important aspect of this design was that we had to include the competencies or success skills that we usually work at Tec de Monterrey. Also, the indicators. The indicators are very related to the competencies that we want to assess. For example, each competence has different attributes, and the indicators are the way that we can evaluate those competencies. Also, very important was the key concepts from each discipline. We wanted to make sure that our students knew different basic concepts that you need to move on their education in Prepatec. So we also considered that in the design of this project. A very important aspect was the key products. So we thought about products that could be developed by the students in each discipline, but that they will covered like the whole idea, like an integrative approach to the project. We also designed the stages, which are very important to manage and to formatively assess the project. Those stages were the challenge and purpose of the project, also the research part and prototype, where the students start to generate their first ideas of solution to the challenge, and perspectives, where they have to compare with other points of view to get a better picture or better ideas to improve on their prototypes. Also, actions and consequences, where they have to study if their solution will have a positive or a negative impact on the community. And also the conclusions part, where they reflect upon their work during the whole semester. Also, the design included the finding of strategic partners for learning. Prepatec has a lot of partnerships with companies, with community associations. So we started to map like who can be an important actor in this process of learning. And of course, because we were teachers from different schools, so we have to adapt the like for local issues. The challenge, we have to adapt it to local issues. So maybe I didn't mention it, but we were from three different schools. One from teachers from Monterrey, the northern part of Mexico, teachers from Estado de Mexico, which is next to Mexico City, and also teachers from Cuernavaca, which is a city that's at the south part of Mexico, let's say. So we were five teachers from each high school, so a total of 15 teachers gathered for a whole week in Monterrey with the coaching of Jennifer Decline to design this type of project. The idea was to apply this project as a pilot in the three campuses with only one group of students. And next semester, we will be implementing the project with at least, well, for example, in Cuernavaca, at least 3, 4 groups, maybe 5. And other campuses like Estado de Mexico, which are larger, they will have, I think, more groups. But Jonathan will tell you more about this, and also my colleague Isaac. So we designed 2 projects, one for this semester from August to December of 2022. And the 5 subject areas that we consider for this project were art and literature, or Spanish, if we can call it that way. Also math, chemistry. It has a different name in Prepatec, but basically it's chemistry or like environmental sciences. Technology, which is like this logic thinking, programming, etc. And social science, which includes history and economic issues, etc. So we try to gather all of these 5 subject areas into 2 different projects. The project that we have done this semester was sustainability. And next semester, we're gonna work on the peace project. But we designed both in this like camp that we had in Monterrey. And the goal was, as I mentioned before, like consider the key contents from each of the subject areas and also the success skills or competencies. Those were at the center of our design. So we're trying to implement like this gold standard for PBL, for project-based learning, where there's a project, but we also have to align to the key contents and success skills, so we can ensure that our students are preparing for like getting to universities and also to get the competencies for the 21st century. So during the whole project, we are focusing also on formative assessment, which different from the traditional approach to education. We don't like put a lot of emphasis on exams. etc. But we're looking more for the process of learning. So a lot of activities to assess like how they are thinking, how they are collaborating with their teammates, etc., are a very important aspect of this project. So we designed for the sustainability project a couple of milestones or steps that have to be covered for the students in order to get to their final deliverable of the project. So we start this project with an entry event report. So our idea was to take the students to a landfill to talk with people that are trash pickers, but unfortunately, we have a couple of issues with because of the pandemic, etc. But at the end, we had a very good experience. We're gonna talk more about it maybe later. But the idea is that in this entry event, the students get the opportunity to talk to people that work like in the real world or live like the real issues of the real world. For example, in this case, people that work with a lot of trash and they pick it up and they separate the trash so they can sell it, and it's their way of living. And for the students was a great opportunity to connect with different people from their usually uh, circle of friends, for example. And it was a very eye-opening experience because they felt that they had the power or the privilege to do things for the environment, for other people. So this entry event report is a reflection of that experience, their thoughts, their feelings, their next steps towards the design of the project, the execution of the project. So after that, and the research process starts for the students. So they start reading, they start watching videos, asking other people. They start like diving deep into the contents of the project, of sustainability issues, environmental issues, and also the climate crisis, which is like the whole context of this project. So the idea is that they, with all of that information and all of the discussions that we have in class, they have to write a science communication article. So in that way, we can evaluate or we can assess as teachers, for example, if they are using the concept, scientific context, concepts, sorry. And also, we ask the students to include the social perspective of these issues. So not only the scientific concepts about CO2 emissions or water pollution or soil damaging, etc. So what are the consequences for societies to live in a very polluted environment? So through this process of writing, of putting the ideas into paper, also a lot of like drafting. So we managed to give the students the opportunity to put into practice the scientific competences of logical thinking, of critical thinking also. So it was a very important deliverable for our project to have this article. After that, the students have to practice to design a persuasive speech. So it is a good tradition in Prepatec that students are able to like pitch something like an idea, a business idea, or a startup idea. So we apply this tradition, let's say, to the context of the project. So the students design a persuasive speech so they can convince other people that don't know them that their prototype or their solution for the problem that they chose, it's really relevant and it's feasible and it's new and useful. So it was a very interesting experience for the students to design this speech because they thought they were not going to be able to convince other people like climate crisis is a thing, because of course there's a lot of misinformation and fake news in out there in the media. So for them was a real challenge to design a very convincing, sorry, speech. Um, but it was very, very, very interesting for us to see them shine like in different ways. So, for example, students that didn't have enough like ability, let's say, to write, they had a lot of spotlight when they presented their speech. So after that, the research process continues, the prototyping continues, and they have to present their solutions or final products to the public, to the community, to experts. And so they show their work in a public exhibition. And that is a very important event for them because parents and teachers and colleagues and classmates have the chance to watch all of their hard work that they have been doing during the whole semester. And after that, a final reading reflection, it's very important because in that way we can assess like what was their experience during the whole project, how did they feel, if they learned a lot or not, and if the process was meaningful for them. So this is basically the structure, like the milestones of the project. You have to deliver each one of them. It's like they are mandatory for the students. So in that way, we can kind of ensure that we are following a logical process and that learning is structured. So our colleague Isaac is going to talk about the entry event, more details.
Thank you very much, Joaquin and Jonathan, and to everyone that is listening today. So, the entry event is supposed to be a trigger where the students are able to know a piece of reality that motivates them to create their project. In the case of the three schools that were involved in this process, we shared a common event, and then we had different options for a second entry event. The first one was a conference by one of the partners of Prepatech, 3D Education. By the way, 3D Education is currently nominated to the Nobel Peace Prize, which grants us the possibility of being with this world-class kind of specialists that can tell us about some some topics and some contents that really give us a sensibility to work on this kind of projects. So, for example, 3D Education prepared a conference about climate change and sustainability with many facts that and also some exercises that made us conscious about the footprint, the ecological footprint that we were living on our daily basis, not by doing anything complex, but by doing common events like taking showers or eating some stuff. Uh, Eventually, the leader of 3D Education, Juan Pablo Monasterio, followed us until the very end of the project, and well, I mean, he was able to give us some advice on how to manage the rest of the project. And talking about the second moment or the second entry event that we prepare for our students, we had the possibility of being in touch with these real people. So, for example, in the case of obviously everybody's real people, right? But we're talking about some people that are living in the reality we are trying to analyze. So, for example, in Monterrey, we were able to visit this river that is across the city. That well, it's a clear example of how the climate change has uh, has been striking on an urban area because of many factors. but mainly because of the changes of the unpredictable changes of the weather. Now I'm not completely sure, Joaquin, but if it's possible, maybe I can share a part of a small video, just to see some moments of this visit, and then we can talk a little bit more about the entry event. Let me see. I have my screen here. So it's here. I'm going to share just a piece of it. Just Joaquin, can you tell me if you can take a look at it?
Yeah, I can hear and watch the video.
So I'm going to show it, and then we can discuss a little bit about. Well, that's just a little piece of it. Uh, it was aimed, well, first of all, as my partners have said, to put the students face to face with a problem, and to make sure that they don't only have the input that we give to them. And eventually, both events, both events, the one we did in the north and the one we did in the center of the country, I think that worked pretty well in this way, since some of the projects that we're going to share eventually uh, were somehow inspired by these visits or these contacts with the people that were living the real effects of the climate change. So maybe we can move on. Well, this is the link of the video. So after this entry event, after this trigger event, we had some moments for voice and choice, which were relevant in a way of the students now had all these ideas, had all this information, in order to, after the previous entry event, now they should decide what they're going to do the rest of the semester. So we had these spaces where, according to some methodologies that were also shared by Ms. Jennifer Klein before, they would usually do some design thinking. They would usually do some brainstorming, so they can decide what they're going to work in. And of course, this is not a carved in stone contract, but it was the first moment where they were supposed to take a choice or to take a decision that is going to influence how the learning process is going to advance. So, for example, here in the picture, we're spotting a group of students after the brainstorm that they were doing in these whiteboards. They have been working a whole morning, where they did some research, where they discussed with the teams, where they, well, actually also created the teams, and where they finally like outlined a possible topic that they can work with. In this case, for example, some of the some of the choices change through the semester, but the important thing here is that they took a step forward into being active in their in their learning process. And also, well, the teams, I mean making the teams, it's was also very relevant, because some of the teams here are going to also change through the semester, but some of them are going to stay, right? So you're going to be also able to spot the profile of the students, just from this moment, from how they can express about the topic, from how they can express about their teams, and also, and this is going to happen in another moment, of how they're going to express about the 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 learning methodology they're working with, right? Through many times through the semester, we were asking them, so they can be active. Okay, what are you liking? Okay, what are you not liking? What are you disliking? What can we improve through the process? Yes, and this is going to make them active members of the learning community, and not just students that are receiving information without any opinion or without any reactions, right? Maybe we can move a little bit more, Joaquin. And well, many of these moments of voice and choice, or of planning, or of advancing in the process, happened in a designed space that it's called the Friday sessions, or the PBL Fridays. Yes, where the students are able to leave the division between the subjects and work exclusively in the project they're developing. The voice and choice is crucial, since it's for some students the first moment where they are able to learn with their freedom, or to learn about their freedom, or to learn about how to use the freedom, right? Since instead of having this organized schedule, or these organized days, they are told general instruction at the beginning of the day, so they can achieve it by the end of the day, right? Uh, During that process, they would have contacts with their peers, yes, which usually it's a little hard to happen on a 50 minutes class. And we'll also have contacts with experts that the are requested by the leaders, by the teachers, uh, so they can continue with these triggers through the semester. Since I mean, the entry event is supposed to be overwhelming, but through a semester you are supposed to have also this inspiration from experts that are working on the different fields. And also, we need to have in mind that, for example, we have here a student that made a project on vegan food, right? Maybe that's not related to the entry event, so she will need another expert. So we bring an expert for the team that is working on this. Yes, maybe we're going to have a team that is working specifically on recycling plastic. Well, we'll bring an expert for the recycling team, right? And this is also creating a network that can help the student, not only during this semester, but through their high school experience, since they will keep contacts, they will be able to talk to adults, yes, which again, sometimes we take that for granted, but some students, it's the first time they're able to talk to an actual adult that is not their teachers or their parents, and that can also strengthen their voice, strengthen their ability to socialize, and their ability, well, to create his or her own process, right? can we move on one more, Joaquin? Well, here we have another example of PBL Friday. Yes, we usually try to change the stimulus during these days. So we would have classes on classrooms. We will have classes on hallways. We will have classes outside the high school, right? And we will usually try to destroy the normal organization of the classroom. Yes, and destroy obviously in a positive way. Yes, they will be allowed to work on their prototypes. They will be allowed to have some fun. They will be allowed to talk between each other. Yes, believing that the creative process requires this kind of change of hierarchy. Yes, where the teacher becomes actually there are some teachers sitting there. I mean, as if they were part of the student group. Yes, because we are expecting that the dialogue happens in an horizontal way, and also that the students feel free to express themselves, feel free to share the ideas, and well, feel free to create different things, right?
Okay, so about managing the project, that is the Isaac already talked about some of the strategies or yeah techniques to manage the project. In the case of Cuernavaca, and I'm sure that also in Estado de Mexico in Monterrey, we have weekly meetings with the interdisciplinary team. So just an hour maybe just to check in, like how the students are going, what are the next steps, the delivery dates, etc. So that worked pretty well for us. Um, Sometimes not all the teachers were able to attend the meetings, but it was no problem. We had a very good communication through WhatsApp, email, etc. So basically, we were just kind of enjoying the process for with the students. Like, oh, did you see what that team did? Oh, they're trying to do this and that. So it was very fun for us. The planning, I personally didn't suffer the planning process. It was more like, oh, we're doing great. So maybe we can try this strategy or this other one, just with always with a positive and hopeful like spirit. So I think this is one of part of the magic of PBL. And also we gave the students a lot of like research time. We didn't rush, especially in Cuernavaca. We didn't feel like the need to like, oh, we have this due date, and we were very flexible with the delivery dates because we wanted to make sure that the students felt like they were enjoying the process, that they had enough time to explore different ideas, etc. So we usually had like meetings or classes in the library or outside. So it was a very um, yeah, like deep experience for them in the process of learning. Also, we use a lot of peer review. So, for example, through gallery walks, also like just simple listening to the other teams and giving a feedback. And as Isaac mentioned, the experts were key to this process because they gave the students the chance to connect with the real world, and they felt empowered because their ideas were being valued and they were treated as equals for some of the experts. So I think, for example, in Cuernavaca, it was a turning point, let's say, for the students because they felt like they were actually going to do something meaningful for the community. So it was really eye-opening experience for them.
So
So
here I'm going to share some of the projects we made in Monterrey. So we have in the right the vegan team that I mentioned. So they developed a recipe for vegan meat. Obviously, it's not meat. It's a mixture of different ingredients, different seeds that creates a meat-like product. It tasted really good because I was the beta tester, and it offers a solution in terms of that they calculated the amount of water required for producing the ingredients of the recipe and the amount of water of a normal piece of meat, and the comparison was awesome. It was like 20 20,000 liters of water for one piece of meat, and just 5,000 liters of water for the ingredients, which is still a lot, yes, but it's way less. And they created the recipe from scratch, yes, and then share it with the community, and now are planning to create their own business on vegan food, yes. Also, we have here some sort of meal, yes, that was inspired by the visit to the river. This meal has a design there in Tinkercard. They also made a prototype, and it's supposed to be able to collect the trash from the river, yes, collect it and then store it, so it can be later recycled, yes. They experience a lot of challenges since well, it's a very ambitious project. The last challenge, which is very interesting, is that they were trying to install a monitor that is able to spot if the windmill captures a living creature like a fish or a turtle. Yes, that's the stage where they stopped. But I think it was really interesting that well, if this was a normal project, you would just present a prototype and that's it. Yes, but in a PBL process, you would have the prototype and then still have some ongoing questions to be answered later, right? Or to be answered. I mean, in a longer learning process, right? And in the top, it's one of my favorites, which is a greenhouse. Yes, this specific prototype is programmed with an Arduino that is able to identify the temperature and open and seal some windows. Yes, this is a small prototype, of course, but it was made with the actual material that they would use on a normal scale prototype, which eventually they are planning to share with some assistance houses, or some places for example, to promote a retirement that has active active members, right? Retirement houses that have active members that can, for example, plant their own food, have their own like businesses of flowers or something like that. And in desert like weathers like Monterey, these greenhouses, I mean, can save a lot of water, a lot of energy, right? And also offer a solution for the transportation of food, since well, most of the food of the desert is brought from other cities. These greenhouses can offer an option to produce your own food without caring that much on the hostility of the weather, right? So these are three examples of projects, and well, what you can see, or why I added the ladies working, is that they were having a lot of fun, and I think this is a common factor in all the scenarios, right? That students were actually working on stuff that they liked, right? And in that way, the process is not tiresome, yes, and is able to give different results than if you are working on a normal school project.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes left for the presentation. So we would like to answer some of your questions. So we will explain briefly the next solutions, right?
Yes, briefly indeed. For example, in the right picture, we can see some hydroponics. This team that work. This is just the tip of the iceberg of all the teams at the Estado de Mexico. By the way, this is like segregated into different campi or campuses. In this case, their intention was to give food to communities that have difficult access to nourishment. So they thought, hey, hydroponics could be a great solution to give, I don't know, for example, to begin with, lettuce. So they tried to buy the seeds and begin the hydroponics process in step by step, but they can clearly see by the modulation of the process and how long the growing of the plants took the time. So they find out that first, and it has a lot of steps here. First, they found out that they needed more time and they needed more support to begin with. But they also find out that they can do the difference. They can make a difference. They can. They are aware. They can talk to experts. They can do something that is important and relevant, and that's helpful to their communities. And this is a way that they can show their strength and the support and their empowerment to these communities. In the picture of the left, this was a very ambitious project. It was about garbage classification or separation. In this case, as you can clearly see, there is PET. There is also garbage. I don't know, paper, or other things. They went to a park. It's a very big park, and it's Parque Naucali. And in this park, they try to one day at a single, I don't know how to say this, turn, I guess, from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. They try to collect all the garbage and separate it into different classifications. And they were calculating how long they needed to do this in order to keep the park very clean. So it was very enlightening for them, for the community, and the community related to the park, that they can first create consciousness about the importance of not throwing garbage around the park, then the importance of separating the garbage in order to recycle, and then the importance of helping and doing something. So as you can clearly see, there are a lot of steps involved in this process. This is my briefly participation.
Yeah, so about the projects in Cuernavaca, one of the projects was the responsible water use. So the guys organize like a convention or a conference that it's going to happen next week on campus. And she gathered like products like sustainable or environmentally friendly soaps, or the different designs for the showers, so they can reduce the use of water. And also they research about how much energy do you need to heat the water that we use for showering. So they a simple action that from our daily lives, like taking a shower, they analyze it from different perspectives, and they propose a conference where they're going to inform the public about these issues, and they're going to show different options to the public so they can buy different types of shower, or how can they reduce their environmental impact by the use of different detergents or shampoos or soaps. So that was like creating this consciousness or awareness for the people that they have to be more responsible with their water use. Another project from Cuernavaca, it was about fast fashion, where a group of girls made a campaign to collect like all and torn clothes, and they, instead of throwing them away, which is the usual destiny of this type of clothes, they recover some of the fabrics, and they design new products like hats, like little bags, like accessories for reuse, let's say. So they were very excited because they actually created physical products that they showed, as you can see here in the picture. And it was one of my favorites because they were so with a lot of agency and independence and mastery of their skills to create and to transform the products into other things. And this one was very interesting because it was a campaign for about reducing the consumption of a soft drink that is very popular in Mexico, that it carries a lot of problems like high sugar consumption, a lot of plastic generation, right? So they showed very impressive data and facts to the people, and people were very impressed by the things that they didn't know about this brand and this type of consumption. So it was a very they had a lot of impact in the community by their expositions, their information that they gave to the public. So they felt very also like they were doing a real change in their community by making this awareness.
Well, let's put it into action.
Okay, sorry.
No, don't worry. It's fine. Well, some actionable device. If a school would like to implement this type of learning in their curriculum, here is our actionable device. To begin with, everybody must believe in the project. This is very important. As you can see, I think is the milestone, the first milestone of the entire project. As Kierkegaard would say, to dare is to momentarily lose oneself's footing, but not to dare is to lose oneself, because one must make sacrifices to obtain results. And this is regarding to, first of all, teachers, because you have to sacrifice, well, everything. Some project you have to sacrifice due dates, you have to sacrifice rigid and strict rules and to be more flexible in order to let the PBL flow in a very efficient way. So this is very important, and also for students to there to know themselves, so they can know that they can talk to experts, they can do things, and they can change their communities. This is a fact. The project must have an actionable device, Gantt and PERT diagrams, with the aim of creating, first of all, order. This is very important. If not, this will be very chaotic. Knowing the critical path and exact deadlines. As you can clearly see, there is difficult to be very flexible, but to also have a very straightforward thinking to obtaining some results. So this is very important also. And this is in order to give the students and teachers certainty, avoiding conflicts, unnecessary stress, and anxiety. The project must have flexibility. Again, this is very important. This includes changing the point of view or objective of every project. For example, and I didn't have enough time to discuss this, but they didn't quite finish the project of hydroponics, but because the plants didn't grow so fast. But they are now thinking that this is not a project for just a semester. This is a project for maybe 2 semesters, 2 years, or maybe their entire lives. So again, this requires flexibility on behalf of the teachers and the students as well. Give students voice and choice in all aspects. This is very important also of their projects to create community belonging inside the teams. This increases engagement and resilience to achieve their goals. Final words. We select the title Transdisciplinary PBL to promote student engagement and foster personal flourishing because we are convinced that this project, with all the challenges, and believe me, there are quite, it's not only valuable for students, as I mentioned before, that now see connections among their courses. This is not just this is math, this is history, and this is social studies and whatever. This is everything is relevant and everything is close to real life, as Isaac mentioned before. They can clearly see that, but also it re-energizes teachers. This is also important. Going out of the classroom, being flexible, taking time to be in touch with being human and connected to the students, and seeing how the material of their courses is connected and applied beyond tests and exams. This is also important. And finally,
Okay.
well, we have time, 10 minutes for Q&A. I am going to begin reading them in order. The first question was of Jennifer Decline, about the biggest highlights I have been for us as teachers and what big challenges have emerged. Anyone?
Yeah. So highlights for me are, mm, I had a couple of moments where the students told me like, teacher, we don't want to leave the library now. The library now. We have another class, but we don't want to go. We want to stay here, like learning more about the project or developing more our ideas. So for me, that was like, okay, that's it. This is working. This is they are engaged. I don't have to tell them what to do, and they were telling me what they are going to do. So for me, that was the moment I thought, okay, I love this type of learning of process. So that was a highlight for me. Another one can be the exhibition day. The air felt like the environment felt like a celebration, right? Like it was like a party where they were feeling very proud, the teachers, the parents. It was very emotional, let's say. We took a picture at the end. So that moment of conclusion, of yeah, celebration that we had a great journey together was for me awesome. And I will do it again, definitely. And as a challenge, yeah, I think maybe the challenge is like to convince people around around the project that this works and that they do not necessarily have need to have like a traditional exam, or we had exams and all of that, but the feeling was different. It was more like, okay, we need to cover this, but we are more excited about the project. So at the end, the students didn't ask anything about, at least in Cuernavaca, they didn't ask us like, oh, what was my grade in my presentation? What was my grade in this project, right? Because they were living the success. And for them, it was a success, and it was different for each team. So I think a challenge is like to build a culture around PBL. So the people from the principals, parents, etc., like kind of understand what is the process and what is the goal through this process of learning.
The same in Estado de Mexico, just to clarify.
And I can very quickly add that in the past, it was really hard, at least in my experience, to have contact with other teachers. I mean, with teachers from other subjects, right? And right now, for example, here we are, three teachers of three different subjects working together across campus. And inside my campus, right now, for example, I work very near the teachers of science, right? Which, I mean, in many years of experience has never worked before. And I think that those friendships or those like kind of cooperations are really important. Yes. The leader of one of the leaders of our projects was a chemistry teacher, which I mean was really inspiring. She's called Gabriela Portillo, and I know for certain that if it was not for the PBL project, I would have never worked with her in the way we're working here, right? And I must recognize that because PBL opens those doors to work together, right, and to become a single team.
And this works for not only teachers but also for students. This is very 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 important because the teams, maybe they are not made with their friends, they are made with someone that they can have the same topic of interest, so this creates connections that are we hope lastful. Another question. Jennifer Decline is really curious about how the project Fridays have gone and the adaptations we made to get them to work well if we have time. Yes, we have time. Anyone?
Yes. So we mentioned a little bit about the dynamics of Fridays. In Cuernavaca, we sometimes some teacher had to cover like specific topic or mini lesson or deliverable specific of the subject. So some Fridays we didn't use like the whole bunch of hours for the PBL, but the other way around. So maybe we use some Wednesdays or Mondays to continue with some aspects of the project. So we were very flexible in that. It was like, okay, we have Friday PBL Friday, but we can also have Wednesday PBL. No, so this flexibility was like constant during the whole process in Cuernavaca, at least.
The same in Estado de Mexico. We also had Wednesday PBL, Friday PBL. Another question was, have we had success in getting other teachers to be interested? I think we have already discussed this, but I don't know if you want to. Um,
Um, yeah, well, they were curious about like, what are you doing? Like, why is so much attention to the project? In prepa, in at least in Cuernavaca, other teachers were like, what is this peace and sustainability thing? All of the principals are talking about it. And also the students were like, oh, sorry, teacher, I cannot go to that event because I have my PBL, right? So we created like this expectation from other teachers. So when they were invited to the exhibition day, they were like, "Oh, so this is what were you doing?" So they were very interested. And as a matter of fact, we started like a small course in Cuernavaca for other teachers that are interested in this PBL or type of learning. Also, we will do some courses for teachers that will have to participate next semester in the peace project. So yeah, we were the pilot in 3 campuses, but the idea is that the whole Prepatec, all of the 35 prepas, I think with 34 prepas that we are at national level, are going to participate in this type of projects.
yes, to begin with, our 3 campuses, and then the whole tech national level. It's going to be very challenging. I mean, this pilot was worked with one group in each campus, but we have to picture that next semester is going to be 20 or more, so it's going to be very a little bit challenging because we need to do the whole process again. We need to convince other teachers, we need to convince other students, and we need to convince the whole communities and a bunch of experts. So if anyone wants to become an expert to help with this, it will be really really helpful. And I think that was the last question. Does anyone have more questions? We have 1 minute. Well, 2 minutes to be fair.
Yeah, maybe we should finish the
Conclude.
presentation.
Okay. Yes. Well, session recordings. Recordings of these sessions can be found in the replay tab on the left side of the open window throughout and after the conference. Afterwards, you may also view keynotes on our YouTube channel at that QR, which is youtube.com/. I forgot how to say that. At actionable global. Yes. Tell us what you thought. Please evaluate these sessions. That is the QR. Or the link is, I don't know, it's very long. That's the QR. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Julie. I think,
Thanks to
yes.
everyone.
And finally, join our community to connect with a global network of educators and learners, and a wealth of shared resources. Join the Actionable Innovations Global Community. That's the hashtag, which is actionableinnovations.global/home. Thank you very much for your time.
And that's it. Thank you.
Have a nice Saturday.